Hello, Justin.
How are you? It is so great to be here with you.
Yes, very nice to meet you here. And I just want to say your name correctly. It's Justin Roethlingshoefer.
I love it. I have to honor you for the practice because in my speaking reel, actually, what we do is I have this like little play on words for myself. So at the beginning, for the first 5 seconds, I have all the people who have interviewed me, and it's Justin Roethlisberger, Justin Rowan-Gardner, Justin what's your last name? And so, well done. You nailed it.
Can I ask where it's from? From which country?
Yeah, Germany.
I figured that out.
Yeah,
I thought so.
It's, it actually has 2 letters removed because we don't have them in English. So it'd be about 18 letters instead of 16.
Oh, I see. Yes, the spelling can be something. So Justin, I would love to learn more about you. I know that you started a health journey when you were 13 years old, and then you went from being the NHL performance coach to now having the company Own It Coaching. And I understand your book came out, The Power of Ownership, in April this year.
Yep.
Wonderful. Can you tell me more about all these different aspects of your journey?
Yeah, so my journey is kind of unique, and I just feel like we're called to something. We're called to go on a mission. We're called to go on a journey. We've been given a vision. But given that vision, we're never shown the path you have to take in order to get there. Because if we actually did see the path we would have to take, we'd say, hey, you know what? I'm not signing up for this. And so at 8 years old, I just heard very loudly and boldly that my mission in life was to redeem the health of the world. And my thought was, okay, cool, this is gonna be awesome. Well, little did I know that I would grow up a fat kid that was made fun of. That ended up giving me just a deep desire and heart for strength and conditioning and really understanding VO2 max and the data. Then from that component, I became anorexic and spent about 8 years of my life just with major depression and body dysmorphia. And that gave me the true understanding that, man, your body doesn't know the difference between different forms of stress, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. And then from there, I went to college and really just dove into this holistically, being able to really learn what was actually happening. And I got my degrees just like everybody else. I got my nutrition degree, I got my exercise science degree, I went and got my master's degree, I went and did my postgraduate doctoral research. And as I was going through this, I understood what I was reading on paper, I understood what I was learning in the textbooks, I understood what I was seeing in the labs, but it didn't make sense because of what I had been through experientially. There was a disconnection between the two. And I was like, I need to bridge that gap for people. I need to help bridge that gap in a very powerful way. And so as I was so blessed and fortunate to step into the NHL at 24 years old as a health and performance coach, and really was about integrating data together, integrating all of your team together. So your strength coach, your nutritionist, your mental performance coach, your data scientist, and actually collaborating in an integrated way of all the data. And fast forward 11 years, we became the least injured team in the league, the least sick team in the league. We performed really consistently. And that really just motivated me and inspired me to step away as I heard that same voice that I had when I was 8, that, hey, I need you to stop serving the audience you want to and start serving the audience I called you to, which was everybody, not the athletes. And so in late 2020, we started our company, Own It Coaching, which really creates this holistic ecosystem of your mental performance coach, your registered dietitian, your strength coach, your concierge medical team, and your functional doc, all in one place that use data to help drive decisions for this individual with a high level of hyper-personalization and accountability. And so we've been so blessed. We've seen our team grow to a team of 40 over the last 3.5 years and helping thousands of people. And it's been really incredible. And so the book, The Power of Ownership, really kind of brings all of that together. What does it look like to take ownership of your health in a hyper-personalized, preventative, and proactive way that's completely focused on performance rather than just focused on reactivity?
Incredible. At 8 years old, you have already had all that realization.
Yeah, and little did I know the journey that I was going to go on.
Oh, yeah, exactly, yes. Because you talk about personalization. That's really important when it comes to health, isn't it?
Totally. And I think so often we're just so willing to just close our eyes, put our head in the sand, and just take everybody's word for it rather than taking ownership of our own health. We have one body. And if we were all of a sudden able to understand the language that our body was communicating to us at, we could have so much more ownership of our health. We could be so much more proactive, so much more purposeful in what we were doing, rather than just taking your doctor's word for it, rather just taking how you maybe feel, your emotions, somebody else's opinion. Like, you have one body, nobody's gonna know it better than you, but you have to decide that I wanna understand what's going on in here.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's the problem these days with internet connection. People think, oh, I can just Google some information and I can just apply it. Or my neighbors say, oh, I'm doing this. Why don't you do it? But your approach is what works for you.
Yes.
It's the customer's approach. You have to find it out yourself. And as you said, with data, you can now see what is driving, your habits, what's working, what is not working.
Totally. I always say I don't want to make decisions off of opinion, feeling, or emotion. I want to make decisions off of data, because I love Jesus, but for everything else, show me the data.
So when it comes to biohacking, when someone says, I want to start taking ownership of my health, and I will try it with biohacking. If they come to a biohackers conference like this, they would say, oh, with all these wearables, I can try all these things. They get overwhelmed.
Yeah, very good.
What would your suggestion be?
My goodness, it comes back to one key thing. I want you to understand the metric heart rate variability. Because if we can understand heart rate variability, by definition, HRV, or heart rate variability, is the language of your body communicating to us how it's adapting to stress and strain. Stress, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, positively or negatively, real or perceived, our body does not know the difference. And so what happens is we found ourselves in a chronic state of stress, a chronic state of overreaching, and we are completely unaware to that. And so everybody's trying to reach for the next biohack, the next technology piece to help them. But at the end of the day, there's no technology that is going to overcome a poor lifestyle. And a lot of us have taken the busyness, the rushing, the high stress lifestyles that maybe was okay for a season, but the season has become the lifestyle. And we're completely unaware of what it's doing to us internally from a health standpoint. And thus we're trying to just throw a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. And it's only when we can actually start to step back and go, my goodness, my foundational habits, my foundational principles of how I operate, how I sleep, the type of food I eat, how I exercise, my immune function, my environment I'm in, the mindset I operate with, the self-care that I operate with. How do these habits improve or hinder HRV? And thus, HRV now becomes that guiding light so that we can say, my gosh, when I go to bed at a consistent time, when I wake up at a consistent time, when I get my 20 minutes of meditation and I get my 15,000 steps in a day, my HRV improves. But all of a sudden, if I go to bed later, HRV plummets. Well, that's probably a really important thing that I need to make a priority in my life. Yeah. And so many of us are just worried about the next tech piece to try to get a quick fix, which actually isn't actually solving the core root issue, which is that your habits and behaviors are completely misaligned with where you're trying to go.
Very good point. Absolutely. Yes, the habits, the behaviors, and as you said, the mindset is really the key, having that mindset. So when you talk about that with the mindset, you're helping clients to achieve, to go on this journey. Mm-hmm. A lot of your clients are very busy people. They are short of time. What would you say if they say, because you talk about going to bed consistently at a consistent time, but then if they are away traveling, they go into conferences, they have meetings back to back all day, and they say, I can only allocate 5 hours sleep when I'm on this trip. What would you suggest to them?
Yeah, so it's really good. I think oftentimes we throw the baby out with the bathwater. little saying that we often go with. And what I mean by that is, oh, you know what? I'm so busy on this trip, I'm just not going to focus on sleep at all. And so I'm just going to work really late at night. I'm going to eat right up until I go to bed. I'm not going to focus on any type of things that I can control. And I'm just going to let it all go, just completely fall off the wagon. Where instead, if we were to accept that progress has nothing to do with perfection, optimization has nothing to do with perfection, but rather optimization is the pursuit of better. And that if we can actually shoot for 60% consistency, we're consistent more than we're not. And so what I would actually come back to is that, hey, you're on a road trip, it's busy, you're not able to make it, that's okay. Just relax into that. Just allow yourself to have that space. But I'll always ask a question is, what can you control? What can you do? What are you able to implement? What can we adjust? And so that's really what we end up helping our clients with, is creating what we call these personalized playbooks. And so personalized playbooks based on your lifestyle, based off the priorities that you have, and based on the season of life that you're in. Because a new mom is going to have a whole bunch of uncontrollable sleeping hours that just are impossible to start to control, but that's a season of life you're in. So knowing that, how do we start to understand the frameworks of which the baby's waking up and going to bed? How are we able to then get you maybe some naps throughout the day? How can we start to optimize the time that you're going to bed and then the time that you're waking up throughout the night, so that we can start to see how do we get you the best night's sleep so it's not ruining the rest of your day in this season of life that you're in? Because it might be 6 months, it might be a year, it might be 24 months, who knows, as this baby develops. And so it's no different whether it's a new mom, whether it's a business owner, whether it's a world traveler. We always have to take into consideration the little details that we can start to have control over, create a plan around them so that then we can execute and hold you accountable. And that accountability, again, is where our team comes in so critically, is by using data to ask better questions to ultimately help guide you so that your win becomes inevitable.
Yes. Accountability, absolutely. As you say, using data to support you and then actually showing your clients this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And I understand a bit, very much about control is what you can control. So don't focus on something you cannot control.
Yeah.
But there's things you can control. And I think, I'm in health wellness coaching myself. And yes, people say, oh, but there's nothing I can do. But there is actually something you can do. You can always look for opportunities of those what you can do something about, and then work with them.
Totally. I often say your language that you use helps dictate my perception of where you're at in terms of wanting to change. So there's something I call the commitment ladder, and there's 5 rungs to the commitment ladder. Until you get to the top rung, you're always going to feel like you're failing. And so the language that'll be used in the commitment ladder is something like at the very bottom is, I have to do something. Like I have to create change. I have to get up in the morning. I have to eat this way. I have to take my supplementation. I have to means that there's resistance internally, that you're actually like, I really don't want to.
Cool.
The second ladder or the second rung is, I'll try. I'll try. You know what? I tried that. It didn't work for me. You know what? That's a good idea. I'll try that. Well, what you've done is you've already given yourself a way out. You've already given yourself that excuse. You know what? I tried. I said I tried.
Yeah.
But you actually didn't commit to it. Then the third is, I'll do it until. So I'll do that until the marathon's over. I'll do that until I go to the wedding. I'll do that until whatever goal is attained. But in fact, you're not taking ownership of it because you've given it a lifespan. So again, it's not commitment. It's rather compromise. And then 4 is, I want to do that. I really want, but if you want to, you could.
Yes.
And then this is where it gets into a really exciting piece. This is where change happens. This is when somebody all of a sudden transforms inside and out. And it's called the statement of whatever it takes. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to start I'm willing to get a meal prep company because that's what I need to do this. I'm willing to have a wearable device on my wrist because I need to see what's happening. I'm willing to change my night routine. I'm willing to throw out all the garbage food in the house. I'm willing to communicate with somebody daily. I'm willing to try to start implementing meditation. I'm willing to do anything because what's on the other side of this journey is something that I desire so much. And so you can either compromise where you're trying to go, or you can commit to where you want to go. You cannot do both, because so often a lot of our commitments are actually just compromise in disguise.
That's so true. Yes, absolutely. It's whether you want to, you actually feel that I'm happy to do this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just resisting it.
Totally.
And then you will find any excuse not to do it.
Yeah.
And you just say, it's not me, it's circumstances.
Totally.
That's what I suggest to people, my clients. I say, if you feel that exercise is important to you, then ahead of the time how your day is going to be, how your week is.
Yeah.
Then you look for opportunity where you can have increase your movement or do those exercises.
Yeah.
And you plan your week around, accordingly.
Yeah.
Your meetings then suddenly just pop up.
Yeah.
You don't suddenly have to go to the airport, or that you have to get up at a certain time and suddenly you have to eat.
That's right.
You know when you're going to have to eat.
That's right.
And you know when you will have the opportunity to have, say, 20 minutes exercise.
Yeah.
And you put that in, you schedule that into your meeting because it's a priority, it's important to you.
Yeah.
And as you said, you can see down the road, it will give you the outcome that you desire.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. And it is really important to increase the awareness, to let people know that they have to make plans. I always say that preparation is key.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you.
So with your Only Coaching, what are some other projects that are coming up that you're excited about?
Yeah, so we've got real two things that I'm just so excited about. So obviously we've built our cohesive team. We've got your mental performance coach, you've got your registered dietitian, you've got your strength coach, you've got your concierge medical team, and then you've got your functional medicine practitioner, all integrated in one place. And so what we've been able to do with all of our cellular testing, all of our DNA and epigenetic testing, all of our wearable technology is we've been able to integrate it all together into one place where your entire team has access, your entire team sees it. And over the last probably 2 years, we've been working behind the scenes to actually take all of that data, aggregate it into our AI backend system. And so the way that we've now made our coaches' lives easier is that this backend AI system actually doesn't communicate with the end user, doesn't communicate with the client or the patient, communicates with the coaching team. So now they're all of a sudden able to say, hey, Tessa's HRV dropped 25% last night and her sleep quality is down by 11% from her norm over the last 35 days. And it's actually her lowest in the last 4 months. It's like, oh my gosh. So now your health coach or your registered dietitian or your strength coach is going to reach out to you, say, hey Tessa, I noticed that your sleep quality went down last night. Your HRV also dropped last night. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened last night? And you're like, you know what? I went out for dinner with my spouse last night and we had a couple more cocktails than we usually do. And I got home a little bit later. Oh, that's amazing. How was your night? Oh, it was incredible. It was so good. We enjoyed it. It was awesome. But do you notice the impact that the cocktails have? You know what? Yeah, that's incredible. I was somebody who would have 2 to 3 cocktails a day for a long time, but now I start to see the impact, and so that starts to have people get buy-in to what it is that they're actually doing. And so that's what I'm excited about, is that we're finally at a space where that AI technology is at a place where it's communicating with our entire coaching staff in a deeply integrated way, and we've just been able to scale what our coaches can handle, scale the relationships that they're able to build, make it much more personalized, much more proactive, so that we can actually see real change in every single one of our clients across the board.
Amazing. With technology, this is what you can do. It's incredible. Yes, it's actually important when people say, oh, as you said, if you have a few cocktails, you notice the next day, your heart rate variabilities change, or it's got lower. And that will actually gives people motivation to make more changes.
Yep.
Whereas otherwise, people say, oh, but you're just telling me this, I don't know.
Yep.
What's going to give me something. Science
100%
is what shows you, and that's what your company does. And with the team with different people who specialize in different areas.
And that was the big thing is that when we were building our team, you have to have an interdisciplinary team that's watching you and is all integrated. We know what it's like. Like a lot of people have their personal trainer and their nutritionist, but yet you're not doing anything to relieve yourself of maybe the mental trauma you're going through or the emotional stress that you have, or you're not actually looking at what's happening cellularly and internally in your overall health. And so you're not actually being proactive, even though you're working out every day and eating well. Then you've got the people who have your, let's say they go to a therapist or they've got their mental performance coach. And these are the people who are really self-actualized and they're really processing these things in a deep way, but yet they don't go to the gym regularly, they don't eat very well. And so again, they're trying to add pieces of the puzzle, but they're not actually getting it all integrated together so that each of the practitioners are now speaking the same language. And then once they leave that office or once they leave that engagement with their practitioner, it's like they enter into a different world, because you know what it's like if you have a physical location or if you're even with somebody, you might have the best hour call, or you might have the best 30 minutes where you're like, oh, they're getting it. Well, as soon as the Zoom button closes, or as soon as they walk out that door, they're walking right back into what's next. Yeah. They're walking right back into their old life, their old habits, their old patterns. And so everything that you just did, you took 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps forward in that call, and you take 5 steps back because you go right back to the way that you were. And so that's where, when we have the accountability piece integrated in with all interdisciplinary teams, we can create inevitable results for people who come into our ecosystem. And I just get so excited with the results that we see day in and day out.
Yes, with a team that keeping people motivated, the accountability, that really makes a difference than someone who try to do everything himself.
Yeah.
Trying to find the information and implementing it, but then you don't know whether it's working.
That's exactly it.
Makes such a difference too when you can bounce ideas off with different people, especially when people are trained to do what they do.
100%. You start to see just this really fluid, consistent level of change in people. And I think what I get so excited about is people start to feel empowered in their health for the first time. They start to go like, my gosh, I do something, I see the data, and I feel different. And now I'm learning something about my body. I just don't know what to do. I understand what to do. And I want to take you from a state of knowing to understanding, because when I get you from knowing to understanding, that's when you win.
Yes, knowing to understanding, very much so. Justin, this has been an amazing discussion. I really enjoy it. I've learned a lot from you. What would, as we're coming to the end of our discussion, what would be one thing that you would suggest to biohackers to do?
The first thing is you have to simplify. You have to simplify. You can't continue to just throw technologies at problems. You have to understand what's going on with you as a human, you as an individual. Get out of the driver's seat, put a team of people in the driver's seat, allow people to guide you, because just having a piece of technology and just being told what to do is not good enough. And if you could have done it yourself already, you would already have the results. And so you have to put somebody in the driver's seat to help you take ownership of your health. And it's best if it's a complete cohesive team, because they'll be able to lead you to the direction you're going, and time collapse the struggles, time collapse the difficulties, time collapse the frustrations that you would go through if you tried to do it alone.
Absolutely. Doing it alone just doesn't work, as you said. Otherwise, you would have got there.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Justin.
It's been great, Tess. I appreciate you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Unlock your full potential at the Biohackers World Conference and Expo in Los Angeles on March 29th and 30th. Connect with leaders in health optimization, learn the secrets to longevity, boost your performance, and dive into the latest biohacking and wellness innovations. Don't miss out. Tickets are going fast.